What's going on, horror fam?
How is everyone today?
How is everyone today, baby?
Hi, everybody.
What's going on?
What's happening? What is
How's everybody? What's everybody up to?
happening?
Yes.
Sorry, JK. I said hello and then ran away to go get ready. And when we sat down here and got on, I see you're like, does no one see me? Do I even exist? Am I in the really real world? Sorry,
Wow.
JK. I know.
Yeah.
I didn't do it on purpose.
What's up, Doctor? What's up, JK? What's up, DGen?
Hi,
What's
Briggs.
up, F Wood?
Hi,
Oh,
DGen. Hi, F Wood.
look at Adam Chewy. Look at that, baby.
What up, Adam Chewy?
What's up, George?
Hi, George.
George Outlaw, George
The
Ishak.
outlaw.
The outlaw, man.
Who will forever be the Sarge in my head, but
Baby, can you dig your man?
he's a righteous man.
Yeah, he is. Yes, he is. Yes, indeedy, baby.
Yes, indeedy.
Indeed, loo.
I'm just gonna rest my foot on your foot.
Oh, thank you. That's perfect.
I bet.
What's up, Zim?
Well, good
Coming in
morning, Zim.
from Minnesota.
Minnesota.
He's over there in
Oh, hey
Minnesota.
there.
Hey there, Zim. My goodness. My goodness. So tonight we are going to talk about a franchise that is near and dear to my heart.
And mine.
We are discussing the Friday the 13th franchise in its entirety. Now, this was suggested
Yay.
by a HorrorFam alumni, maybe even a channel member. They said that they wanted us to go through the entirety of the franchise and list one good thing and bad thing about each movie.
Cool.
So we are going to do that. We're going to go
Let's do
entry
it.
by entry and break this franchise down into pieces and then rebuild it with positivity because we love this franchise. Even the ones that I don't like, even the ones that are bad, I love.
I know.
Because you know what? They're the good kind of bad.
They're the good kind of bad.
They really are.
They are.
And not only that, but I have a lot of nostalgia surrounding this franchise. So this is going to be very interesting. And the way we're going to do this is I will name the good and bad thing, but Anna gets to pipe in at any time.
That's because he knew who he was doing this for since yesterday, and I've only known for like 10 minutes. So
Anna gets to pipe in.
I'll just.
If there's something bad that's like even worse than what I mentioned, or if there's something better
Yeah.
than the good thing I mentioned, Anna's going to come in and layeth the smacketh downeth.
Yeah. Look, Zim
Yeah.
agrees with you. Even the ones I hate, 7 out of 10.
That's
I'll
right.
love.
They're all great. They're all great. I
Or
mean,
7
this
through
is
10. Sorry.
the Friday the 13th franchise is the epitome of a great horror franchise. It has everything you could possibly want. Number one, it has that nostalgia for me because it comes out of the 80s, so I've got to grow up with these films.
Uh-huh.
It has tons of blood, tons of kills, tons of boobies, tons of beautiful women's, plenty of good scream queenies, and it has the most iconic slasher the horror genre has ever known.
Baby Jason?
Jason
nobody can see my
Voorhees. That's right. Jason is the greatest. And there's been many iterations of Jason too. We've had Tater Sack Jason. We've had Baby Jason. We've had Uber Jason. We've had
right.
Hockey Mask, Running Jason, Frankenstein Jason. So much. It's so great. It's so fun. There's something there for everybody. We've had serious Jason, scary Jason, and hilarious Jason.
Agreed. Hi, Josh Perry.
What's up, Josh Perry?
You're not that late, man.
No.
There are more people that are later than you.
Yeah, where's Artsy? Artsy is the crowned queen,
She's the always late.
right?
But we have lots of people who aren't in here yet.
And she'll come in and be like, I had no idea that this was even happening. It's like Artsy.
That's right. Zim. We have Copycat Jason. We
That's right.
also have Mommy Jason, which didn't get listed. Did you list Mommy
I
Jason?
did not list Mommy Jason.
Mommy Jason, Copycat
Vile
Jason.
made it.
Hi,
Yes,
Vile.
Vile.
See, Josh, Vile was later than you.
Yeah, Yeah. But that's a great point. Yeah, we have Copycat Jason. We have Mommy Jason.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much to love in this franchise, but we have to start at the very beginning, speaking of Mommy Jason and Baby Jason.
Let's start at the very beginning.
Yes.
A very good place to start.
That's true, Anna. That's true.
I always forget that you've never seen The Sound of Music.
No.
It's weird.
I only watch good movies. I only watch Friday the 13th. Nothing else. Nothing else.
It has a very, very limited worldview.
That I do. So.
Look, even Briggs knows. Doe, a deer, a female deer. Ray, a drop of golden sun.
I was enjoying this stream. This was going to be a good one, folks.
Oh, you're allowed to break out in song randomly and I'm not?
Anna just wants to do musical numbers. This is the Talk Horror the musical. Go ahead, Anna.
Thank you.
Oh my god.
Look, even Vile. The hills are alive with the sound of music.
Well, until next time, my friends.
Look, horror.
Oh, shoot.
This is all his fault. He's been riled up for like the last hour and a half.
Yeah, I've been unstoppable. I've been like a toddler on go-go juice.
Yeah, so he started it.
That's right. What's up, Michael Paul? Okay. Starting at...
Oh, Zim knew too. Yeah.
Yeah. Starting at Friday the 13th, the original.
The original.
This is the one that put everything on the map. The Halloween ripoff that everyone came to love more than Halloween itself. Friday the 13th, part 1.
It's interesting because I feel like part 1 feels the least Halloween ripoff-y than like the whole rest of the franchise.
I know.
But anyways, okay.
True. That is true. But Victor Miller himself, the writer and creator of the franchise, has said, we just did this to rip off Halloween.
Perfect.
And that's what they came up with. He actually did better than he maybe should have. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's
He tried a lot harder
than a lot of some uninspired
yeah
horror films have. But
yeah.
one thing I love about the original Friday the 13th, apart from this being the vessel that would eventually give us Jason Voorhees, I love that the characters are very smart and in their own way. I mean, these people act like camp counselors. They act like what their profession is. This is what they're here to do. They got caught in these circumstances, and now they have to act accordingly, and they can put those camp counselor skills to use.
Yeah.
A lot of other movies, it's just unintelligent teenagers who happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. This one, it's like, okay. So, you know, Alice especially has some survival and some know-how that could possibly get her out of this situation, and eventually does.
Yeah, I agree. I remember saying that to you once after we watched it, and just it's even though each of the young adults gets picked off one at a time and you get to watch that happen, most of them you get to watch also do little camp counselor things. Like they wrote that into the script that they are doing things that like camp counselors would do, and when stuff starts to go wrong, it's like they know what to do next. It's, you know, they think, right, because they have no idea that's what's really happening is that they're dying one at a time.
Yeah, and we have some comments here. Dr. Briggs says, the bad thing is that it allowed Ari Lehman to think he had a career. Of course, Ari Lehman, he will never let you forget it. He is, in fact, first Jason.
Yeah.
He is the first person to ever play Jason Voorhees. He is the little boy who pops up out of the lake. During the dream sequence at the end of the film, he went on to name his band First Jason. Every time this is true.
It's his entire identity.
It is his entire personality. Every time he signs, there's even Ari Lehman autographed material at a mall near us, and he's always going to sign it Ari Lehman First Jason.
That's funny.
That's a very interesting and hilarious point that the doc is bringing up. Now, JK, one thing he loves about it, another comment here, is that he says that Betsy Palmer was absolutely fantastic. And he is glad that she reached a point where she appreciated being part of the film because, of course, at first she resented it. And it's no wonder because Siskel and Ebert pretty much, ruined her life a little bit.
Yeah.
After the release of the original. But I will give everybody a bonus that I actually enjoy about the first film. And I don't know if this is true for you, but it has like a nostalgic feel to me. I don't know, maybe it's where I'm from out here in West Virginia, but it feels like one of those rainy summer days.
Oh, I think
like it captures that essence.
I think it was like very authentic, right? Like the whole feeling of the film where it was filmed, the age of the actors they put to play the characters, like it all feels very authentic. Sometimes we're watching movies and it's supposed to be teenagers, but you can tell it's 30-year-olds playing these teenagers, and it never feels as authentic. And like that's not true of this. Everything about the first movie feels very authentic for camp counselors in the year that this movie was made. You know what I mean? So to build off of the Pamela thing, I don't know if you saw, but above that, Briggs had said that he thinks Pamela is scarier than Jason.
How do you feel about that?
I agree with that.
Wow.
In so much as that, we watch a lot of true crime, and Pamela's character is realer, right? It's like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of like psychotic, manipulative,
Well, I talked to Victor Miller at one point, once again, the writer of the original film.
Yeah.
And I asked him if you could make another entry into the Friday the 13th franchise, because it's been all over the place and he hasn't had his hands in it since the original. Where would you take the franchise at this point? And he said if he had his say so, he would love for there to be a prequel.
Yes.
Because Mrs. Voorhees was the mother that he never had.
Wow.
So he would like to explore that character more. So instead of diving headfirst into Jason territory, which was never meant to be what it became.
Yeah, this like very intense, very kind of overprotective, very whatever mother, like, ooh, yeah. Right? Like you absolutely, like it would have been a progression, right? Yes. That she got to this place where she's, killing all these people or whatever,
But, But one thing, now I have to list a bad thing.
Okay.
From the original Friday the 13th, something I don't like, and I am going to go with a little bit of a cheat on this one because it's hard for me to come up with something that I don't like. I'll tell you what, Kevin Bacon's scene when he dives into the lake was very lackluster. And he also has one of the weirdest boners I've ever seen in horror movie history.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he just like, he belly flopped into the water, but with his arms outstretched in front. Like his arms were curled, but his body wasn't. That's one of the weirdest dives I've ever seen. So Kevin Bacon, I hope you have worked on that as you've gotten older, brother.
I doubt it. He seems like a totally goofy, bizarre human being. So.
Well, that's one thing that
I've seen the TikToks he does with his wife. He's a weirdo, in like a good way.
Yeah. So that's one thing I'm going to name about that. And I'll tell you what, speaking of Friday the 13th being a ripoff of Halloween, just the kind of, since we're between movies right now, just a thought I just had. It is super weird that it ripped off Halloween, admittedly so. And then every slasher film going forward ripped off Friday the 13th, it feels like.
Instead of
Halloween.
Well, and I'm going to reiterate, and it says reiteration because Zim mentioned this, and this is how I feel. It doesn't feel like Halloween at all. If it's supposed to be a ripoff of Halloween, you know, and some slashers do, right? Some slashers have that kind of the same vibe or the same, you know, weird hidden entity kind of thing. And Friday the 13th, the original Friday the 13th, doesn't feel the same as Halloween. Like, I don't, if it's supposed to be like a straight up ripoff, it doesn't come across that way to me. Until the end when, and I'm not saying it feels like Halloween at all. And then at the end, they decided to rip off Carrie for the dream sequence. Yeah.
Like that's hilarious. It's like we ripped off Halloween and Carrie all in one film. I will say maybe on a more real note, and this is more of a past feeling. This is from my childhood that has carried over. I'm not saying I don't necessarily like it now. I always felt ripped off as a kid when I watched the original Friday the 13th because Jason's not in it.
Because you had seen other installments first. Yeah.
I was a big Jason fan. And then you watch Friday the 13th and Jason's not there.
Yeah.
And then it become known as, oh, well, this is the one without Jason in my little child brain.
I get that because you've seen me watch a lot of... I got like handed sequels a lot as a kid unknowingly, right? So like Army of Darkness was the first Evil Dead film I ever saw.
Yeah.
So when I went back and saw the Evil Dead, the original, and it wasn't funny, I was confused.
Just short-circuited your brain.
You know what I mean? I was like,
Yeah.
But Army of Darkness is so funny.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally different. That's why I don't like Evil Dead 2. Because I watched the
original
Evil Dead
first. Yeah.
And this is what the Evil Dead is. So when I was a little kid and watched the Evil Dead 2, I
like,
thought,
why is it funny?
What is this? Yeah. This is, you know, I didn't understand what was it. Still don't understand what they were even doing, despite their excuses.
Yeah.
But so there's that. Now moving on to Friday the 13th Part 2.
Okay.
I love that it introduced us to Jason Voorhees and introduced him officially into the genre, into the franchise, and created a legacy as the greatest slasher villain of all time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I love that he had a tater sack on his head.
There you go. There you go. Now, one thing I dislike about Friday the 13th Part 2, that's a tough one. That is a really tough one. I don't know if there's anything I dislike.
I have one. Can I pipe in?
Yeah.
I think you have a couple of like maybe core or central characters that feel authentic and interesting. But the peripheral characters, this is where they start getting campy. This is where they seem ridiculous. Like, you know what I mean? And it's an odd shift from the first movie where they all feel like camp counselors and they all, you know what I mean? They kind of feel like a group and a team and whatever. And then this is where they get weird. Like, you know, not all of them, like I said, you do still have like a handful of like core characters that they paid attention to, you know what I mean? That they were like, this character is here for a reason. And then everyone else there feels very much like they're there to serve a caricature that belongs in a slasher film as opposed to like, this is a real person, you know?
I'll tell you what, I just thought of it. I hate Muffy. I hate the little dog. I hate the little dog. I don't understand them. I think that's something horrible that we've done to dogs. I don't trust anyone who takes... Number one, you've created a completely defenseless animal, and you've just taken it into the forest. It is food.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It is food.
Yeah. I had... my family had some neighbors at some point out at the, you know, orchard they used to own. And like they had a neighbor that had a little dog and it got taken by owls.
There you go.
Just right in front of her. Just.
There you go.
Well, that's the kind of thing that happens when you take a little dog into a forest.
I don't like Muffy.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. I will tell you. Okay. I got one that I dislike.
Okay.
What happened to Paul?
Yeah, that's weird, right?
What happened to Paul?
It does leave some loose ends, and I feel like then the franchise just feels free to leave loose ends like from there on too.
Well, and that are canon because there's behind the scenes footage of Paul got killed or whatever, and it's like, but that's not official.
Right.
That didn't happen.
Yeah.
In the realm of the film in the Friday the 13th universe.
Yeah.
So I don't like not knowing. I mean, because she wakes up and Paul is just.
And she doesn't even ask.
Gone. No, she does.
Does she ask
Where's Paul?
Okay.
And it's like he's gone. Why was that left just floating around out there?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Briggs mentioned that one of the things he loves about this movie is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre tier chase scenes. Top tier chases that have, and that, there actually is like some epic, especially, Tater Sack Jason does some epic chasing. He really does.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Yeah.
Hobbs says he saw part 2 at the cinema on double bill with the Warriors. Oh my God. That had to be a hell of a night. Could you imagine seeing those two classics back to back?
Uh-huh.
That's insane.
I'd be badass.
Wow. And then he had to walk 4 miles home alone after he walked his girlfriend. Wow. That's dedication, Hobbs.
Yeah.
I hope you at least got to cuddle up during that movie. Jeez, man. Jeez. Yeah. So, yeah. That's, yeah, he had to walk home alone like the Warriors F would. Yeah. He had 4 more miles to get to Coney. Oh, my God. I'll tell you what, though. If you want to play a fun drinking game, something I noticed about Friday the 13th Part 2, every time you see that lone mud puddle that all the characters have to jump over, just take a drink, you will be soused. You'll be soused, bro. Wow. Okay, now Friday the 13th Part 3. Now this one is in 3D. And that's what I like about it. I like that it's in 3D. I love being able to because it's before my time.
Yep.
And I like to be able to go back and look at all the cheesy 3D shots that they set up for this one. And it hits immediately. It's like, oh my God, we have a 3D passing of the joint.
Yeah.
We have the shitty 3D snake.
Yeah.
Have all this 3D goodness, and it's cheesy stuff. He's putting a pole in front of the camera like it's kind. I love that, and I also love that Jason finds his mask in this one.
That's what I was gonna say. The best thing about this one is Jason gets his mask,
the iconic hockey mask. Now, of course, we lose the tater sack, which we all love, but I feel like the tater sack. We wouldn't maybe love it as much as we did if it wasn't sort of like this exclusive limited edition thing.
Yeah. Like, I think if that's what he looked like forever, it would be, I don't know.
Now, my least favorite thing is very easy in this one, Anna. Can you predict what my least favorite thing is about Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D?
No. Please.
Shelly.
I should have been able to, yeah.
Prankster Shelly gets on my last
He gets
nerve.
on everyone's last nerve.
He does. He gets on the character's last nerve.
I mean...
this is somebody who I could understand it if this was their first rodeo with Shelly. It's like, ooh, he was a work friend. I didn't know he would act this way in his personal life. Ooh, okay. We'll never do that again with him.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. No, and as a matter of fact, like that one girl, like maybe almost kind of was willing to give him a shot.
Yeah, they were trying to
didn't make any sense.
Yeah, they were trying to set their friend up with Shelly. It's like, dude, you just fed her to the wolves, bro. Like, y'all were just trying to get rid of Shelly and pass him off to Vera.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And it's,
Yeah, this is the one I think, like I said, in the second movie, some of the side characters started to feel a little caricaturous. This is the movie where I think like some of the friend groups stop making sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost like you know, well, we've got, you know, the stoner friends and then these friends and then but also like they're there because this young woman had some kind of horrible trauma and didn't want to go back there, but now she's back there. And that whole plot line feels so bizarre to me. Mm-hmm. Like it's almost a little, every time we watch it, it's a little jarring. It's a little like, why is she there? Why does no one care? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why isn't there more sympathy for like what she's experiencing? I don't know. It's just kind of an odd. And then the bikers.
Introduce the bikers.
Which I both love and hate. It's something that makes no sense. But is also kind of fun. Like, it's just, yeah. So this is where I feel like they really... the movie stopped making sense.
Yeah, and
you just kind of have to be like, okay, never mind.
Yeah, and I feel like Shelley had his shot. Like after the encounter, the interaction with the bikers, Shelley had his shot with Vera, right?
Yeah, totally, he did.
And then blew it again, played another damn prank. It's like, oh my god, dude.
Yeah,
leave it alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, Shelley definitely my least favorite part about Friday the 13th. Part 3.
Yeah.
I don't know now if I can picture it without him, but still, he takes the cake on that one for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's sad because he's one of those characters that again is almost caricature-y in that he has no redeeming qualities. That he is all that and he's all in on it.
Well,
you know what I mean?
and Briggs brings up a very good point here, is that with that interaction you were talking about with Chris, they're sort of implying that Jason may have been like a sex offender, which was just extremely random in the big... That does not fit the character that has been established since. Right. I guess at the time they could have implemented that but it's weird and they never went forward. Even in that movie, they didn't.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm not the only one who feels that way, Briggs. Because I remember the first time Steven showed me that movie, that's how I felt. Like that's what they were implying. And then it never went anywhere. So I was like, maybe I'm wrong. Like, am I crazy? Did I take that to... No, I'm glad. No, I didn't. Thank you.
Yeah, and then you have this weird thing where Jason is sort of playing mind games with her. Yeah, because you remember when he's hanging or whatever, and he just pulls up the mask and sort of smiles at her or looks, and it's like, "Hey, it's me." That's like that was really weird, really weird. But it also gave us the iconic axe mark in his hockey mask, which we also true, which we, that's a Jason staple right there. Samuel Stokes, are you feeling better, brother? Glad to have you back in here with us. I saw Hammerhead.
Hi, Samuel. Hi, Hammerhead.
Slither in on here on his stomach. What are you up to, Hammer? What? Hammer likes to army crawl into the streams. He doesn't make it easy on himself. He likes to prove dedication. Yeah.
Right, JK? Debbie is pregnant and drinking.
Debbie is pregnant and reading Fangoria. I'm glad, Sammy. I'm glad, brother. Yeah, we get to see Jason with a fresh, undamaged mask for the last time.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter.
The final chapter. Yeah. Now this one, I like way better than 3.
Yeah, okay. I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people, this is a lot of people's favorite entry. Mm-hmm. It really is. And it's no surprise. This is a really good one because we get introduced to the character of Tommy Jarvis.
Yeah.
We get some really fun characters. We get to dive deeper into the story. We get the Jarvises. We get the fun teenagers who are vacationing next door, which also includes Crispin Glover and his epic dance moves. We get the twins, for goodness sakes here. We get some total hotties that Tommy kind of spies on. You get the Tom Savini influence in this one.
Yeah, those masks are amazing.
Incredible. And you see Tommy Jarvis is a little nerd, so not only is he building masks, he's playing video games in the beginning. I mean, this just called to my soul when I was a child watching this.
Well, I think this movie takes you back to having like really, I mean, yes, some of the kids in the house next door are a little cartoony or whatever, but like the core cast goes back to being some like real, they feel really real, but especially Tommy.
So you're saying you wouldn't give Teddy Bear a kiss?
No.
Okay.
But I will say that Corey is the best thing about this movie.
That is my favorite thing. If I had, and there's so, I mean, I could sit here and tell you so many.
Yeah, there's a lot of really great things about this movie. But
I love Axel in the very beginning. I mean, you know, but it has to be that they gave us Tommy Jarvis, who is a legacy character. Absolutely love Tommy Jarvis, and when we get into Friday the 13th Part 6, we'll dive into that a little bit more. But the best thing has to be Tommy Jarvis.
Well, and I'd argue that,
and let's not forget Rob.
Rob is great, but I would argue that even though he's a child, Corey's the best actor in that movie.
He really is.
He is. Like, his performance is incredible.
Corey Feldman killed it, no pun intended. But you also get Rob, who is there looking for his sister or the person that has done this to, and he's hunting him down. He is actively pursuing Jason, which is something we've really never seen before. I haven't really seen that effectively since. No, I mean, except for with Tommy Jarvis, really.
See, now that leads in perfectly to my least favorite thing about this movie. I think Rob and his storyline they have set us up with is way more interesting than following a bunch of teenagers again.
I agree.
I would have way rather watched that story
than
watched the party and the twins and Crispin Glover. I don't care. Like,
that is. I wouldn't change this movie. I love it too much to change it. Yeah. And I didn't until you mentioned it. You know, I didn't really think of it that way, but absolutely, I would have absolutely loved if we could have dived into the character that is Rob. Yeah. And followed him and got to see, you know, that could have been part 5.
Yeah, I think you would have had a more interesting and unique installment in the franchise if we had followed the Jarvis family.
Yes.
And Rob. And just left the other teenagers out. Now, I know, obviously, you've been watching this movie for 30 plus years, so it's like that's not... It's someone who's just come into enjoying the franchise. Like, I can do away with that and be stoked. Like, that would have been like a more unique installment into the franchise.
Yeah. So that's your one bad thing.
That's my one bad thing is they introduced a really interesting, cool character. He gets an epic death at the end, but
I mean, kind of like it's
give
like
me more of his story.
I mean, that in one way. Because Rob was a big guy, he had the equipment, you know what I'm saying? He had the knife, he had the guns, and Jason just breaks them.
He just manhandles them.
Dude, when they get into the basement, you're like, in one part of me wants to see them go head to head, man. Right. Like, this is mano a mano right here, dude. Yeah, yeah. But on another one, oh my God, when Jason gets a hold of him, and you can tell Rob had... He had thoughts about how this encounter would go.
And it wasn't like this.
It was completely to the freaking contrary because Jason manhandles him and you just hear Rob screaming from the basement, "He's killing me! He's killing me!" He had no clue this was going to... He did not expect to get manhandled. And that just... I mean, that's like feeding the Undertaker some bullshit wrestler like Norman Smiley or something. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh my God, this just makes the Undertaker look more menacing. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, the way Jason handles Rob is absolutely insane. I feel really bad for Rob. Yeah. Yeah. He was out there on a mission to avenge his sister and didn't complete it. And I'm going with you on this one. I'm going to let yours stand. I think that is a far better dislike for this than anything I could come up with. My only argument is that I would have taken that over Friday the 13th part 5. Give me the Rob storyline.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to change anything from part 4. I guess this would mean that Rob would have to live, in some way. But I don't want to change part 4 because I love it so much. But
yeah, whereas 5 is kind of a weird. Well, we'll get into that next. But yeah, JK and Zim are both saying that Rob never made sense to them. If JK said more than that, I missed it. But Zim goes on to explain that I shouldn't be tapping the table.
Yeah.
Zim goes on to explain that it didn't make sense to him because the timeline is too short between the end of 2 and the beginning of 3. And I guess I've never clicked into that it's that quick of a timeline. And the interesting thing is like, if it was that quick, then a whole manhunt should be going on, not just Rob, right? A manhunt that maybe a brother is involved in. But like, where are all the police hunting for Jason, right? If it really was just a couple of days after all the kids in part 2 were murdered, where's the actual manhunt? Why is Rob the only one looking for Jason?
Right.
And I guess I didn't know that the
timelines
were so
well
quick,
you have to remember Jason escapes from the morgue in the beginning. He is freshly transplanted from I mean, it's almost like a freaking it is almost like a scene out of Halloween. Oh, Jason's, except Jason got himself out of there. Michael Myers is always being transferred somewhere to escape. It's like Jason just bodied the entire staff on his way out. You know what I'm saying? But
Zim has got this down. Right? He said part 2 starts on a Thursday. Part 4 ends the following Wednesday.
Wow, there you go.
That's wild.
There you go. Right. Delta, we see you coming on in here, man. Yeah, we got the fresh face going. It's so weird, though. Like, I guess my skin underneath hasn't felt crisp air in so long. It's like itchy. Either that or the springtime allergens are now able to get in contact with my skin. I don't know, but I'm still getting used to it. And I've totally caught myself a few times because I kind of developed this habit with the long beard. I would grab it and do this with it because I was constantly trying to get it from fanning out and getting in my mouth or getting in my. So I'd try to straighten it down all the time. And I've totally caught myself, especially in the shower last night after the shave. I was in there and it's like, oh, nothing there to grab onto now, man. Yeah, Briggs. Yeah, man. It's weird. It's weird. Yeah, I totally have a neck now. Yeah. Was the Canadian woman offering her body for a ride, JK? In Friday the 13th part 4? All I remember her doing was just hitchhiking. With love from Canada.
She has a sign. I don't remember what it says, though.
It says, like, with love from Canada or something like that. And then when she spins around, it says, like, fuck you or something.
Okay.
But I don't remember her offering her body, unless I'm misremembering something. Good God, F-Wood. F-Wood wants me to be slick as a baby. God, dude. Hammerhead's got a delay. Woo! Yeah. So now I'm going to give JK a minute to address, because as far as I remember, I mean, hell, I can pull that up.
Yeah, maybe she is. Poor thing. Or, and I know that they stop and have a very brief conversation with her, don't they?
Yeah.
But I don't remember what gets said.
No, they don't stop and have a conversation with her. Hey, honey, you got a sister? Woof, woof, or some shit, and they keep driving by.
That's horrible.
Where is she? There it is.
Paul, let's pick her up.
Yeah, I gotta mute this because YouTube will absolutely have my Canada and love, and then F you. And then she eats a banana and Jason kills her, which I always thought as a kid was a really gross scene because he knifes her from behind and she's squeezing that banana to mush. I was like, I don't know why, but that was always such a gross
Canada
scene.
and love.
Oh, okay.
Is that what that meant? And that just totally went over our heads completely
Yeah,
this whole time?
JK's reading between the lines. He's like, look at that banana. She's got them forearm grips. She's got them forearms on her, boy. Zim, you would have given Teddy Bear a kiss. Come on, jeez.
Yeah, I really dislike him too, Zim.
You don't like Ted?
No. What's to like?
Why? He punches, he looks up stuff on the computer and gives relationship advice and everything. Jeez. Oh
Jason
my God.
hates bananas.
Jason does. Jason has low potassium and he blames it on the bananas. They never fuel him. He's always getting leg cramps.
JK always took that as her offering her body. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong, but I never got that vibe.
I just thought like just a hitchhiker that they were dicks to,
Yeah.
you know.
Like maybe she's trying to work her way north.
Yeah.
But maybe I don't know anything about hitchhiker culture, so it was already a no-no by the time I was a kid. So, whereas I know it was a whole culture, so maybe she was.
Now, Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning.
Uh-huh.
So Jason has apparently disparted by the end of Part 4. He is no longer one with the world, Anna. He's gone. He's now a pile of ashes.
A pile of ashes.
So they had to do something to continue the franchise because they were like, you know what? This isn't the final chapter. Epilogue, baby. So they gave us Part 5. Now, Part 5, of course, introduces a copycat killer.
Right.
Which is a good story. I mean, it's an interesting thing.
Right.
It's not what the fandom wanted.
Yeah.
Now it's become like this cult following. Like people feel like they can enjoy it publicly now. Used to be you were publicly shunned for liking this movie.
Now you're allowed to like it.
Now you're allowed to like it. Now I do like this movie. I love them all. I do. And am I a fan of this particular storyline? No, I'm not. But that's an easy one. That's an easy one to give away for what's the worst thing about it. I am going to, so just to say here's my worst thing about Friday the 13th Part 5.
Okay.
Without going, well, this doesn't follow Jason Voorhees.
Right.
You know what? It is the fact that I wanted to see Mark Venerini, who plays Vic.
Yeah.
I wanted to see that dude
Go up against
Roy.
Yeah.
I wanted to see him take on copycat Jason. He
Yeah.
was formidable.
Yeah.
He was out of his mind.
Yeah.
And he took care of Joey with the quickness.
Right.
And I love Mark Venerini. God rest his soul.
Yeah.
Gone too young.
Yeah.
So I think, give me Mark
It's a way of
Venerini.
life.
That's right. That's right. Would you think this is the fucking costume? Yeah, sounds like a real shitty job. But you know what I'm saying? Like if they would have just given me Mark Venerini facing down copycat, but they knew they had to nerf him.
They did.
He was too powerful.
Yeah.
And then, you know, another one that immediately comes to mind, if I had to pick even something else, I'm going to say it's when that chick totally shoots down the guy that's hitting on her with the stuttering issues. Their name escapes me right now. But when she shoots down the guy like pretty hard with the stuttering issue, I think she even like laughs at him maybe. I'm like, man, I just feel bad for that guy. And then he goes up to talk to Violet and she's busting out those dance moves. And he's like, can I talk to you? And she's like, can it wait?
I'm dancing.
Yeah, and then he just shuts the door and just leans up against it and he's like, no, it can't. It's like, oh, I feel so bad for this dude. He gets shot down and then murdered the same night.
That's terrible.
This poor guy.
It's terrible.
Right?
Um,
And I also don't like John Shepard as Tommy Jarvis because I love Tom Matthews as Tommy Jarvis. That him and Corey are my two Tommies.
Yeah.
I had those movies as a very little kid. I got Friday the 13th Part 6 on my 6th birthday.
Yeah.
My aunt bought that for me as a gift. I watched the hell out of both of those movies. So Tommy Jarvis is Tom Matthews and Corey Feldman to me. So John Shepard is kind of this weird outlier still to this day for me.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily like him.
Okay, so like my favorite thing about this one is those wacky neighbors, the mom and son.
Oh my God.
Hands down.
Junior and Ethel or Edna? It was Ethel. I think.
Ethel. Right?
Yeah.
Ethel, and she's making her soup.
I got a bomb on me, Sheriff. Knew you couldn't resist my stew, you fuckwad.
You know, and I can say that because I don't particularly like this movie, right? Like as a movie, like I don't know. So the ridiculous characters are my favorite thing. That's what's entertaining for me. They're fantastic. I love them. They're hilarious.
My mom's gonna chop you up into little pieces, my friend.
And my least favorite thing about this movie is Tommy Jarvis.
Oh, and that's horrible because Tommy is such a great character.
I think it was a massive mishandling of his character. I think like in a tropey sort of way of its era. I feel like there's a number of movies in that era where trauma survivors, like people who went through something horrible, are now themselves batshit crazy.
Right.
And it's like too many humans in the course of history have survived to horrible things happening to them without them ending up like drooling messes in an insane asylum, to be like, this is what happens to you when something bad happens to you. We all end up in the cuckoo house. And it's like, why was that like a trope for a minute? Because there's a number of movies that are like that. It's like, and I think like particularly for a character they want to bring back into some kind of like heroic role, who played a heroic role as a child, right? Yeah. And they're like, well, but he's never recovered. You know, like, he can't human anymore. He's just because that's like how intensely they wrote him in 5. It's like he can't even human anymore. Like he can't talk to people. He can't do normal everyday stuff. It's like, what?
He's spaghetti.
You know, it's so weird.
Let's be honest, though. The best thing about this movie, Anna, is it brought 2 Return of the Living Dead alumni together in one film, Miguel Nunez and Mark Venerini. And, of course, we got the, ooh, baby, hey, baby. Damn those enchiladas. That's the best thing about it. Gave us Miguel and Mark Venerini all in one movie. And I got to ask, am I the only one who still wonders, like, when Roy walked into Violet's room and she's practicing those dance moves and he's just like, what the fuck is going through his mind?
Right?
Like, what is this? What in the hell goes on here, man? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Come on. See, I told you you didn't have to feel bad, Josh Perry. There goes Artsy wiping the sleep out of her eyes. Fresh out of bed, coming in here, baby. You don't have to worry about nothing. Only 51 minutes late, baby. What's up, Artsy? We love you, baby.
Hi,
oh,
Artsy.
Man. Artsy got in here just in time. Artsy knows. Artsy's here for the... Artsy's one of those gals who likes to lick the icing off the top of the cake and then just throw that shit in the trash. Because she came in here as soon as we started singing.
That's true.
She got here for the best part.
I was singing at the very beginning, and you got mad at me for it.
That's right. It's because Artsy wasn't here. I need an audience. I need an audience.
Yeah.
Now, moving on to Friday the 13th, Part 6,
Yay!
Jason Lives, which is my favorite of the entire franchise. And that's really saying something because I love this franchise.
Yeah.
Favorite thing about this film, that's a tough one, but I guess we got to go with Tom Matthews and his portrayal as Tommy Jarvis. I love Tommy Jarvis in this movie because not only does he go back and he digs Jason up, he's like, you know what? We're going to handle this. And I might switch this up. It might be Halls. Halls might be my favorite. That's a hell of a friend right there, my friend. That is friendship goals. If you want to ride or die, buddy.
Yeah. It's funny you say all this, but I feel like when you're just like at home talking about this movie, Court is absolutely your favorite.
Well, that's because Court's a lady. Look, I learned. Let me tell you something. That's
the truth. The truth is Court.
For any of you single guys out there, I want you to go watch Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, and just pay attention to everything Court does. That is how I get all the ladies. That's how I got this beautiful woman sitting beside of me right now. I just followed Court's playbook, and boom, Anna is manifested.
It's true.
That's
It's
so
true.
cool. Dude, there's so many great things about this movie though, but Tommy Jarvis talking smack to Jason while he's in a freaking canoe
Yeah.
out in the middle of the damn, or a John boat, whatever that was, just out in the middle of Crystal Lake. Gonna chain him up and send him to the bottom. And then of course Megan, absolutely love Megan.
Yeah.
She watches him go down, immediately hops in that water, and plus she drives a Camaro. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. You're actually Megan.
That's right. I'm Megan. That's right.
And Steven even does that thing where I don't know if anybody else even remembers the scene where Megan is trying to balance the chair on his back legs, where Steven does that all the time.
Yeah, we get, but I think about what it boils down to be completely honest.
Yeah.
The best thing this movie gave us was it introduced humor into the Friday the 13th timeline.
That's what I was going to say. So the first 5 movies, I think, are trying to be scary.
Yes.
The next set of movies after 6 are ridiculous, but don't want to be. So their ridiculousness feels awkward, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Jason goes to Manhattan or takes Manhattan or whatever, feels weird.
Yeah.
6 is funny and is very aware that it's funny. It's trying to be funny. It knows it is funny,
it
right?
does.
You get the happy face. The guy gets his face smashed into a tree, and the happy face is what is left.
You get
Like,
Officer Rick Cologne.
Right.
Wherever the red dot goes, you bang.
yeah, bang. So this movie knows it's funny.
Yeah.
And so it's very playful. The characters are very playful. The whole thing is just really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a fun movie. It's so great. It's so fun. And there are scary elements to it as well. There's even some great cinematography, which you don't really necessarily think of in a Friday the 13th film, but this one delivers on that. You get the James Bond intro.
Yes. Yeah. Which sets you up, right? So you know, as you're watching the beginning of the movie, like, I'm watching a farce. Like, it's almost spoofing itself. And it kind of is. And Briggs brings up a point that he thinks is the worst thing about the movie, but I think also sets you up for, he says, bringing Jason back to life with lightning, like he's Frankenstein's monster, right? Like, so this hasn't been established in the series. Where is this coming from? And I do feel like on a certain level, this movie spoofing itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
it's Frankenstein.
it's a farce in the middle of like a slasher series. Like,
Yeah, they gave us something different. They showed us that Jason is now an unkillable, unstoppable killing machine. And we've already gotten Jason. I mean, if we didn't get that, it would have turned into the Halloween franchise. Which to me is, we have seen Michael Myers, and this is not, I love the Halloween franchise too. We have seen Michael Myers escape from hospitals, ambulance, so many times wherever he's been locked up. That's, Friday 13th Part 6, at least it gave us something different. At least it established Jason's unkillable. This is how he was brought back this time.
yeah.
And I think it works within that film. Would it have worked in Part 3?
Yeah.
And then you didn't change anything? No.
Yeah.
It works in this film, and it works going forward.
Yeah.
So I think so I don't think that's the worst thing about it. I don't even necessarily consider that a bad thing. I love the intro. I think it's great.
But it is honestly like what takes the franchise and just turns it.
It does. But it needed to. We're 6.
You face north,
and
real
they were
sudden, like turn to the left. Yeah, that's what this movie did.
Yeah, it needed to do something different. They brought, they brought humor to the franchise. It needed to do something different. You couldn't give us Friday the 13th Part 3, 4, and all that all over again. And after the turn they took with Part 5. They wanted people to know that Jason is back. We brought him back to life with this one. Here he is. So the worst thing about, or a bad thing to say about Friday 13th Part 6, that's a tough one. I'm trying to think. Do you have anything bad from that movie? I can't come up with anything.
No, I find it extremely entertaining. It's interesting. Like, I feel like this is a really bad cop. Like, or both of them. Like, they're not good cops. Mm-hmm. Like, at all.
Yeah.
That's maybe that.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll give you what then. I'll say, okay, when Steven and his young lady were on a date in the middle of the woods. And they take off running because Jason has just killed, I think his name was Martin, the caretaker. And Steven sees this and he comes and gets her. They're having this picnic and he's like, we got to go. We got to get the hell out of here. There's a psycho. And Jason catches up with him. I think Steven and his lady should have lived. They acted. They tried to get out of there. They weren't doing anything
it's funny.
too bad yet.
I always forget about them. And isn't he proposing?
Not that I'm aware of.
Or it's something very romantic is happening.
Yeah. But no clue. Yeah. I just feel bad for them. So they could have lived. Yeah. That was a body we didn't necessarily need. There you go. I could possibly give you that one. It's kind of a cheap way out, but there's nothing there's nothing that I dislike about the movie. There's not a bad thing about it that I can think of. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a fun movie.
It is.
Yeah. I think the rest of the movies would have been better if they had stuck with we're funny and we know it.
Yeah.
I think I think the next one tries too hard to be serious again.
F. Wood brings it up. There's no nudity in Friday the 13th Part 6. That is the one bad thing about it.
You think Court's girlfriend should have been tatas out?
I think she should have, dude. I think that would,
realistically, she probably would have too. So that's kind of like the one scene where tatas would have made sense, right? Yeah. Like that's it. That's the only place where they would have made sense. But
absolutely, Nikki.
Yeah. Yes, Nikki.
Yeah. I think there should have been some nudity there. I think that is a misstep. That is a great point brought up by community member F. Wood right there. He's a gentleman and a scholar, folks. Thank you for that, F. Wood. Now, Friday the 13th, Part 7. The New Blood. This is when the series definitely starts to take a turn. You
like this one way better than I do. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the new design of Jason. I like the decomposed Jason. I'll tell you what, the biggest thing is I love that it brought Kane Hodder to the series.
Okay.
I love that it brought Kane Hodder to the series and he introduced mannerisms to Jason. He made Jason, even though Jason doesn't talk, he gave him some personality without having to talk, with the breathing and the head movements. Mm-hmm. I think Kane Hodder really did a great job as Jason Voorhees.
Mm-hmm. I can agree with that.
So I think that's the best thing about that movie.
Worst thing?
Worst thing?
I can agree that that's the best thing about that movie.
Worst thing. Mm-hmm. Because once again, all of these are
the plot. Sorry, go ahead.
all of these are pretty much before my time. So I've kind of grown up with that's the movie.
Yeah.
So I've had time to accept.
Yeah, you just accept it.
What some of these are. We got a Carrie-like final girl. Mm-hmm. Fine, whatever. The ending of the movie where she conjures her dad's spirit back to life and he pops up through the dock, trips Jason, wraps the chain around his neck and then pulls him back into Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
In a
God is in the machine sort of way.
Now horror fam, remember, this is a movie where Jason is essentially facing a woman with Carrie-like telekinetic powers. And this is the cheesiest scene in the film.
That was their solution.
This is the cheesiest scene in the film.
Yeah.
Her deceased father, whom I'm assuming the cops never drugged the lake and removed the body, somehow pops up at the end and saves her posthumously
Yeah.
by returning Jason to his underwater grave.
Yeah.
To me, that's the worst thing about the movie.
I gotcha.
You?
I really dislike this one. I think more like probably even more than Jason Goes to Hell.
Wow.
Because Jason Goes to Hell has some like weird characters that are fun to like laugh at. You know, Crichton Duke and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the couple that run the diner.
Yeah, Pookie.
But like this one has nothing redeemable for me. I don't like this one at all.
Wow.
I don't like the plot with the psychic girl, and not even because they've introduced a psychic girl. Like, I don't care. Okay, sure. Why not? Why not take it there? But I don't think they do it well. I don't like the intensely gaslighting, manipulative
Dr. Cruz, Bad News Cruz.
is so gross, right? That it's hard to watch. It's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that her mom just goes along with anything this like clearly horrific doctor is like also creepy, right? That the mother is totally brainwashed by this guy. So that whole thing is just, and I don't think they handle the psychic girl in a way that feels entertaining or enjoyable at all. It's all very kind of awkward. It takes turns being awkward or tragic, one or the other. It's awkward or tragic, and it's just, so it doesn't make for an entertaining or interesting movie. I don't like any of the characters next door. They're all a bunch of jerks. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole thing, it just feels so weird. Like, it just feels, it's, do you ever watch a movie and it just makes you feel awkward the whole time you're watching it? Like, just uncomfortable, and like, that's how this movie makes me feel. Like, I just feel uncomfortable the whole time I'm watching
Wow.
it. Like, I don't like it.
You don't even get some enjoyment out of the kill scenes?
I guess, but that's so like momentary. You know what I mean?
What about that little bit of touch-up work my ass girl and that incredible scream she
She's got a great screen.
unleashes upon us? What about mom's hair? Looks like a fucking Bichon Frise. Like, looks like she'd be on Ancient Aliens or something. It's,
Yeah.
you know, just not a fan.
Yeah. Just not a fan. I just didn't like it.
Wow.
I mean, it just is, and it's just that, like, it's not even like I can like pick it apart in some way that'll make everybody else agree with me. It's just, I just didn't like it.
What did you think? Are you happy though that John Carl Buechler directed Part 7? Is that one thing that makes you happy?
I mean, sure.
Oh, come on now. Come on now. But I do want to say rest in peace to Lar Park Lincoln, who played Tina, and that we just lost her,
Yeah.
which is just, wow. She's only like 62, 63.
That's sad. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, Briggs, you're bringing up a lot of like this one, and you said the second one too were badly censored. I don't know anything about that, but that's horrible. I don't like censorship, so
Yeah, censorship is BS. We don't believe in it here.
don't.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be on YouTube, the platform of the free and the brave.
I mean, well, you know, but it's, yeah. I mean, there's probably more films I wouldn't watch if they weren't getting, you know what I mean? Because there's certain stuff I don't like to see, but that's personal, right? Like, you should be able to watch whatever you want to watch. So I'll watch what I want to watch. Like,
All right, Anna. Now, Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Welcome to New York.
this one's, it's always bothered me because I had never seen it before. And when Steven showed it to me, I was like, they're in New York for 10 minutes. Why is it called Jason Takes Manhattan? So that's my biggest problem with this movie. I wish the whole thing had been in New York. Give me 10 minutes in an intro to explain to me how he got his ass to New York and then unleash him upon the city. Like that's
There we go, baby.
what I wanted from that movie. So that's my worst thing about that movie, is really disappointing. One, that it's not even filmed in New York. And two, that they're there for 5 minutes. Okay, go ahead.
I would say the best thing about Jason Takes Manhattan is JJ and Wayne. JJ playing that sweet, sweet guitar. Wayne trying to get the shockumentary footage on camera like a dweeb.
See, and second worst thing about that movie is that JJ dies like what, second?
But JJ
Right-
and that sweet
right, yeah.
guitar. No,
Yeah.
I probably have to, or maybe Julius in the rooftop boxing scene. I love Julius just unleashing that left, right, left combo. And
Is that why you were thinking about? Is this why you were thinking
now it's
about that
coming out.
scene last night?
oh, that's coming out. Yeah. I was startled in the night and I woke up and was like, man, I was deep in a, thought about Friday the 13th, Jason Takes Manhattan, man. I was step by step recounting the rooftop boxing scene in that. But it's one of those scenes where I swear it's like when you watch Titanic. And I'm serious, it has been this way with me since I was a kid. When you watch Titanic, you're like, oh my God, this time they might miss that iceberg. Look at that, dog. That ship is turning super hard, dog. They're going to miss it this time.
This is the time.
When
They finally miss.
Ever since I've watched that rooftop boxing match with Jason and Julius.
This is the time Julius wins.
I'm like, damn, dog, he's backing Jason. He's got Jason on his heels. He might, if he keeps going, he might be able to knock Jason off over the edge, like backwards. Every time I watch that fight scene, I think that, and we know how it goes every time. Julius loses his head, gets ahead of himself.
Yeah.
No pun intended. He got to get his head out of the dumpster, Anna. But I do love that scene. And there's, the worst thing about that movie, Ghost Baby Jason.
Yeah, that was weird.
Ghost Baby Jason, who changes
In the,
ethnicity
sewer
throughout the
thing?
film,
Yeah.
it seems like.
Yeah.
And then in the sewer, when Jason's getting hit with that, because in New York, apparently buckets of just toxic sludge waste are everywhere. Jason gets that shit on him, and you hear him roar like, roar! Sounds like the fucking water boy. And he starts spitting up water and having like zombie Jason having flashbacks. So it's so weird.
Yeah.
But that has to be the worst part, is Ghost Jason.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, it's a weird movie. Like, I'm with Briggs. I really like the boat scene. Like, you know what I mean? That's why I'm able to enjoy the movie. And though I'm like, I really thought this was taking place in New York. It's because the like claustrophobia of being trapped on a boat with Jason is terrifying. Like, that's horrible.
Oh, that was horrible.
Like, they should have just made the whole concept that, right? And like,
Jason on a boat.
Yeah.
We on a boat.
We're on a boat.
Yeah.
Take a good hard look at the mother effing
What?
boat.
What? Yeah, they should have just did that, and then part 9 could have been Jason Takes Manhattan or something like that for a gimmick. But yeah, because the boat scenes are definitely the more effective scenes. I mean,
Yeah.
Jesus God.
Yeah, New
then
York gets really weird, right? You get the girl gets like kidnapped by some junkies. Like, it's such a weird.
We got some good smack tonight, huh, JoJo?
And then they inject her with something bright green with like
Oh,
reanimator.
Yeah, they gave her the
The
reagents.
reagent. Yeah. It's a weird. It's weird. It's a weird installment, but it is more fun than 7.
Like, yeah,
I
and then,
think,
yeah,
for me.
At the beginning, I love the teacher giving Rennie the pen. They say Stephen King used to use this when he was writing in high. I'm like, well, I'm glad that's in the hands of a fucking teenager. Thanks, Teach. I'm sure this won't go to waste. Rennie's showing a lot of promise here.
Yeah.
But Yeah, so yeah, Jason Takes Manhattan. Still love it. Not the best.
Yeah.
But then we get in.
I didn't like. I remember the first time we watched it, being shocked that there's no logical explanation on how they're on a lake in like New Jersey. That's like in the early movies is this tiny little lake that people camp at.
Yeah.
And now it's become like a boating lane to New York.
Well, Anna, that's how New Jersey does. That's how they set up trade with New York.
Huh?
Yeah, that's
a major lake. If it feeds into a river that will take you to New York City, like what the hell kind of lake is this?
I don't know. I'll tell you one thing though. One thing that has always, now this might actually be the worst
New
thing.
Jersey Great Lake, duh. You would.
So this might be, Anna, I'm gonna go ahead and say it now. This might be the worst thing about the movie in all actuality, because this has dumbfounded me.
Okay.
This is as dumb as when the Frog Brothers and Sam went into the cave and they're like, well, we get a free kill on one of these vampires, and they take out Marco.
Yeah.
First thing, it's
they literally say it's like the little one. I think it's because they're afraid. Like the whole concept, like the whole thing is they're afraid.
I would have been shocked as shit too when I realized, like, oh my God, I just staked David and he was not the leader. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
But I assure you, Marco wouldn't have been my free shot.
Started with Marco. Yeah. Yeah.
But here it is.
Yeah.
When they realize that there's a psycho killer on the ship. So they go around and gather up all the weapons on the ship and they toss them out into a pile. And Julius, the boxer, is like, everybody grab what you want. And there's shotguns there. There's like 2 shotguns, 2 hammers, a couple crowbars, whatever, Everybody grabs what they want and they're like, Julius, what are you going to take? And he's like, nothing. Except for this here shotgun. Like, which one of you motherfuckers
left the shotgun?
Who left the shotgun? Who left the shotgun for that? That's just still laying. Who the hell chose the hammer, guys?
I want to get as close as possible.
That's like Carmen Electra.
Hammer.
That's like Carmen Electra in Scary Movie when they have all the weapons on the table with, written out what they are in front of them, and she chooses the banana and takes off running. It's like, oh my God. Who left the shotgun, guys?
Yeah.
I guarantee you it was that Jeff Daniels looking son of a bitch. I never did trust him. He was tricking people or something. It was, But now we move on to Friday the 13th, Part 9. And I'll tell you what, Anna, you can drop the title of the official title of the franchise. Now, from now on, Jason has transcended
Friday the 13th.
He has transcended the popularity of the franchise from which he was born. And now it's just simply Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. Best thing about this movie, the characters.
Okay.
Because you get Creighton Duke.
Yeah, love him.
And you get Joey and Pookie.
Yep.
And she's a bad bitch, Anna. She's a boss lady. She's a woman boss.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She's a boss woman.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a great example of topping from the bottom, right? Her tiny little husband is absolutely in charge, but in the best sort of way, right? Like she pretends like she's in charge, and he's, But when he tells her to behave, she does. I love them. They're so cute.
Yeah. It's, what? And I know a lot of people absolutely despise this movie.
Yeah, I don't like it.
A lot of people despise this movie. It holds a lot of nostalgia value for me. I'll never forget when I was a little kid and my uncle is telling me, dude, Freddy shows up at the end of this movie. Dude, no, he doesn't. There's no way. No, you're lying.
Yeah.
I'll be damned. I'll be damned. Freddy does technically show up at the end. But I will say, worst thing about the movie, it's the plot. It's the fact that Jason is body hopping, because, they should have learned from Friday the 13th, Part 5 and all the hate that got. Now, that was hell, dude, you could pass that off as Jason Voorhees. So what? He's wearing a blue mask now, and so they could have. Well, that's I mean, it's Jason-esque.
Yeah.
It's copycat Jason.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just it's ruined in the last 5 seconds of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
This one, it's not Jason for the majority of the movie. And also, once again, following in the footsteps of Jason Takes Manhattan, they also bring back the dinosaur roars when Jason is getting blown. Oh my God. So
Yeah. This one is just, it's rough.
it's great though. You love Stephen Williams though.
Yeah. But I mean, like,
For that, you get the mask, the machete, the whole damn thing.
I didn't see this movie until sometime in the last 3 or 4 years. And so I came into it already loving Stephen Williams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's no reason not to love Stephen Williams.
So, yeah, because he was a regular on Supernatural. And
He was.
Yeah.
And you've enjoyed the movies I've shown you with him in them too, like Route 666. Classic right there, Anna. 8 out of 10 movie easily.
Oh, yeah, this movie was so weird.
It's a weird one. It is a very weird entry.
None of it makes any sense to me. It's totally, yeah. Yeah, I think somebody mentioned the lore dump being like, what was so bad about it? It's like, yeah, they just...
Through a Voorhees was he born. Through a Voorhees may he be reborn.
Right. So it's like you talk about 6, and I could see people maybe who loved at the time, like loved the original couple of movies. 6 comes out and suddenly it's a comedy. And I could see that. Like you don't like the tonal shift. I could see that. This to me is like different than that, right? Like this is, I mean, yeah, because you're getting like a whole new lore dump. He's this creature that can body hop. It's so weird. It's such a like wild left turn from all the other films, including even Manhattan, which is weird also, but at least it's, we've already seen Jason come back to life a couple times now. So it's like, that's where you're at. You're like, okay, Jason comes back to life.
Yeah.
Whereas this one just is like, whoa, like what was that? Why is it a Jason movie? I don't understand.
Dude, it's out there. I mean, you get like a total Jason redesign. You barely get Jason. You get Demon Penis Jason. You get the Voorhees lore, which they totally misspell the last name Voorhees in the film. There's just so much going on.
So much.
There's so much going on. Still love it,
Yeah.
but yeah, I can see in any of these movies, I say I love them, and I do. But you can tell me, like, I can see why people would hate some of these. Like,
Yeah.
I hate those. I can't stand. It's like, well, I can see why.
Yeah.
I'm not,
Yeah.
but Jason X, Anna. Let's get into Jason Goes to Space. Jason's moving on up, baby. He's out of this world in this one. He's going to space.
Uh-huh.
What is one thing you love about this movie? Is there anything?
Oh, I love some of the kills, right? Like I love that
it
because
has some of the
this
greatest
is-
kills in the entire franchise.
Because it's a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
They went a little sci-fi with some of the kills, and I love that. Like,
Yeah, it has some of the best kills in the entire franchise.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The face shatter is incredible.
and I love the look of this movie because it looks like the sci-fi movie, the Sci-Fi Channel's sci-fi movies and series at the same, like during the same era. Like
Yeah.
this movie could have been on the Sci-Fi Channel, and it totally, the vibe was accurate, right? Like it's
Yeah. I will say my favorite thing about it.
that's what Briggs said, but as a bad thing, that it looks like a Sci-Fi Channel movie. But yeah,
I'll say my favorite thing about it is there's some things that I do like about this. Like when they transport him back to Crystal Lake, 1980 or whatever, and the girls, I love smoking pot and premarital sex, and they try, and then you get the double body bag or sleeping bag kill. That's so great. But I'll tell you what, if I had to pick one thing, I'm going to go with Uber Jason. I thought Uber Jason because it takes the setting that they're in and what they're doing. It's like we're in the future.
We're on a spaceship.
We're on a spaceship. Jason's outdated. He can't keep up. I mean, they have an android whooping his ass, and it's like, well, how can Jason compete with it? And then it just so happens by happenstance, Jason falls in their like nanotechnology portal thing, reconstructive, and comes back as Uber Jason. And I just thought that was hilarious. I love the look of it. As silly as it is.
Well, I think this is another one that's very self-aware. Like it knows exactly what it is and what it's doing, and
absolutely,
they're not trying to make some kind of serious like lore about. No. It knows it's ridiculous, and I can appreciate that. I mean, I love the cyborg woman.
Yeah, KM.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Love her.
Yeah. And I love the humor in it somewhat. They hint towards things that have happened on Earth. Like a simple one, an easy one is that they outlawed hockey in like 2012 or so. I can't remember the exact date, but then like you hear the pilot like, you think this is bad. You're lucky you weren't around during the Microsoft conflict. We were beating each other with our own severed limbs. It's like they have their own lore of the past.
Of why the Earth has become this like dystopian,
uninhabitable planet. Which is fun. But, do you like this better than Jason Goes to Hell?
Way better. Yeah. I like this one probably the best of all of the installments after 6.
Even more than Manhattan?
Yeah. I would take this one over Manhattan any day.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think that like, yeah, I would.
It's odd because I knew, obviously I'm a webmaster, I've ran TalkHorror.com for a long time, which is primarily message boards.
Yeah.
So I was very active on message boards, even that weren't my own. But I just remember like being ingrained in that horror culture, and a lot of people absolutely despised Jason X. But there were some people, like people in real life though that I interact with, like you or they love Jason X.
Yeah.
More than some of the, because a lot of people would argue that it was worse than Jason Goes to Hell. Okay. Like a lot of people said, this is the worst. I can't believe they do this.
It is definitely not one I would sit and argue with somebody about, right? Like I would not, this is again what I'm going to say, what I said about 7. Like I would understand why people would hate it. I understand why people would love it. I wouldn't. It's just I watched it and enjoyed it. Like that's you know what I mean. Like, and I love the cheesy late 90s, early 2000s era-esque sci-fi vibe of it because that's my era, right? Like that's like that's right. That's my jam, right? Yeah. Like I was a huge Firefly fan. Like I'm there, man.
Okay. That being said, I'm going to give everybody a bonus.
Okay.
Because if we're going in chronological order, and also this film is now included typically in every Friday the 13th box set, collection, whatever.
Good night, JK.
Good night, JK. We love you, buddy. I am going to include Freddy versus Jason as a bonus.
Okay.
Because like I said, this does typically get included on all collections or box sets that have been released now for many years. One thing I absolutely love about Freddy versus Jason
is that Jason wins. Sorry.
Jason does. Yes, I love that. Okay, there's nothing can compete with that. But in all, the soundtrack.
Okay.
The soundtrack is the best. That
Yeah.
is the greatest era of music ever.
Yeah,
It's
you
the
still
new
listen
metal.
to that soundtrack. Yeah.
It's the height of new metal. It had all the greatest bands on it. That is the best soundtrack that has ever been put out for a film, period.
My 80s self would argue with that, but yeah.
I love the Freddy versus. That is a soundtrack I will sit around and, like you said, I still listen to that soundtrack. It is the perfect compilation and introduced me to a ton of bands I still listen to this day.
Yeah.
The worst thing. And once again, we'll see if you have any input on this. Yours might be
Thank you, F. Wood. Sorry. Go ahead.
your favorite thing is that Jason won, of course. Mine
Right.
too. Goes without saying.
Yeah.
Being on, the real, gotta go with the soundtrack. But the worst thing is this. It is how they treated the audience really dumb throughout the whole movie. I hated how many times Freddy Krueger himself would stop and say, well, not powerful enough yet. Jason's going to have to kill more people and make it look like me so they fear my name again. And I
Yeah.
have the fear to come, but I did not like that.
Yeah, I feel like they sat on the idea for so long that one, they let better scripts pass them by. And that's an odd thing to know. Stephen read a whole book about it and read a lot of it out loud to me. And so it's like we got a lot of the plots of earlier versions of this movie that were so much better. So that was rough. It's rough knowing that. And it did feel like, even though they sat on this for so long, the script writing got like rushed through or something. And two, I think they treated the audience like, well, we want to cater to the young people who have never seen a Jason movie or a Freddy movie. So we're going to constantly explain how both of these characters work, but over and over again. Yeah, it was, it's not, it was, it's,
there's some other decisions they made.
it was a disappointing.
Yeah,
entry
there's
into
some
the-
other issues with the film that I could go into. I won't. And some of them may have been necessary. You hear me, I still quote it to this day about Freddy died by fire,
Yeah.
Jason by
He does that all the time.
That's something that is really, but it's possibly necessary for what they were trying to achieve. But I do think it was unnecessary for them to constantly remind us of Freddy's game plan
Yeah.
throughout the film and that he needed fear to function. I mean, it is spoken in an introduction in the very beginning of the film when it's showing a compilation of old Nightmare on Elm Street films and how the kids used to fear him. And of course, that's how Nancy conquered him in the original, was she turned her back on him. She's not afraid of him anymore.
Yeah.
But throughout the movie, they continue to remind us that he's not powerful enough yet to attack. And I just think that's treating the audience very poorly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially during that time, people were still active. There were cell phones, but what are you going to do? Sit around and play Snake on them while you're in? No.
Right. Right.
So that was a weird dumbing down of filmmaking at that point. But
Yeah, and I feel like whoever they got to write the script, right? Somebody instead of having watched all the earlier movies in both franchises, they just got a quick explanation, right? Because Briggs brings up they could have done better than contradicting the fact that we see Jason deal with being in water no problem in half of the rest of the series. Samesies with Freddy. Right?
Yeah.
Like if Freddy was so traumatized by being, burned alive, right? He wouldn't take all of his victims back to the boiler room over and over and over again in all the other movies. And you see him use fire in a lot of his nightmares. And there's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like he's not afraid of fire. And Jason's not afraid of water. Like he went into the water over and over again in the other movies. Like he's not. So yeah, it does. None of it felt
but that's one that
authentic or felt or
that's one that I didn't want to dive into though, because I'm
thought
like,
about.
well, that it may have been necessary for what they were going for. So like that, but the other thing, it's like that, that doesn't progress the story that you're trying to tell forward.
Well, I think you could have done the same thing of like we need a necessary way to kill these characters. How has anyone else ever defeated them?
Yeah.
Right? And it's not the fire with Freddy. It's the don't be afraid of him. Right?
Yeah.
That's what defeated him.
Yeah.
Jason, oddly enough, it's brute force is what defeats him over and over again. Right?
Yeah.
Like whether he's, chained up around the neck and drowned or he's,
Yeah.
all the other things that happened to him. There's
Yeah.
so many different things happened to him. But it's like,
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah. Anyway.
So Freddy versus Jason, best thing soundtrack, worst thing, the treating the audience like they were drooling on themselves.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
now the Friday the 13th remake.
Oh, we're doing the remake.
Yeah, we got to do the remake because this is officially part of the franchise.
Okay.
A lot of people don't agree with it. This movie is fantastic. I love this movie.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of this movie. And, the Friday the 13th franchise is my favorite franchise. I mean, it's not like I'm this little kid who, this was my first. No, I love this movie. I think it encapsulates everything perfectly to a T of what the Friday the 13th franchise is.
Yeah.
You get the lore, you get the body count, you get the boobs, you get the party,
Out of curiosity, would you have liked it better or even better? Because I know you love it. Would you have liked it even better if it had been a camp? If they had been camp counselors instead of kids partying at a summer house for the weekend? Just out of curiosity.
Would I have liked it better?
Or would it have felt more authentic to you? Because I feel like that's always been one of the I like it too. So it's not even, it's just more of a fun question than it is like I don't like it. It needed to be at a summer camp. I'm just curious. Because I remember the first time I watched the remake, that was the sticking point for me. It's like, why aren't they camp counselors?
I don't know. I don't think it was needed.
Okay. Just curious.
It could have. I could see them rework, but I don't think it was necessary for the story that they were telling with it. They wanted to incorporate. They essentially took the first 3 films or 4 actually and mushed them together.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it starts off with the Pamela Voorhees character. And of course we get Tater Sack Jason and he's, and I gotta say, getting into that, I think that's my favorite thing about the Friday the 13th remake. If I had to choose one thing, like I said, I think it perfectly encapsulates the franchise as a whole. I really do. But I like how they took Jason, who sort of became this lumbering, especially with Freddy versus Jason, because he was very Frankenstein-like in that, which I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
Different topic, though.
Yeah.
He became sort of this lumbering Frankenstein-like character. Like he's going to walk, maybe power walk at best, at least from part 6 onward, and he's going to catch up with people, and that's just how it's going to go.
Right. He's going to walk way faster than you could ever run.
I think the remake, what they did with Jason Voorhees is the best part of that movie because they incorporated all the things he would have learned at summer camp. For instance, when they investigate the old Camp Crystal Lake in the beginning of the film, you see the trophies for archery that are Jason's.
Yeah.
So you get archer Jason, you get axe throwing Jason, you get running Jason. Seeing Jason sprint at that
so
poor
scary.
guy who was caught in a bear trap, that is horrible. That was so scary. I'll never forget that in the first trailer that dropped for that film. That's how it ended.
Yeah.
Was him running at that guy and swinging his machete super fast, super brutal.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is what they did with Jason. I think they took that character and made him. They did something different with where we were at the franchise had taken us at that point, and they amped him up.
Yeah.
And they sort of gave us the perfect Jason Voorhees, the perfect slasher.
Yeah.
So I really like what they did with Jason. The worst thing about the movie. Ooh, that's a tough one. Do you have one?
It's interesting because, like, yes, I feel like they did so much to capture like the essence of a lot of the earlier films, but I think part of like if I have a problem with this movie, and I don't necessarily, but if I did, it would be almost that it does take Jason, it does take the early films and kind of mash them together, but it takes them and like turns them to 11. You know what I mean?
So you don't like how ramped up it is?
It's everything about it is ramped up. You know what I mean? Like the kill scenes are ramped up, the nudity is ramped up, like Jason he's gonna chase you, and it's like Brick says, and he's taking captives, and he has a tunnels. So it all feels like a little too
hyper stylized.
It's just 11, right? It's Jason on crack, like, and it's like. Okay. All right, chill out, everybody. It just makes it feel a little less scary and a little more like a roller, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. More the way a roller coaster makes you feel than a scary movie makes you feel, like, if that makes sense. Okay. It's like, that was intense. And I'm not sure why. Right? I feel like some really scary, like Saw is really intense, and you know why. Right? Yeah. And I feel like the Jason remake, the Friday the 13th remake, is intense, and you're not sure why. Like, why was everything was turned up to 11?
Dude, these people are fighting for their lives, man.
Yeah. But it's not just that. It's like even the characters' personalities. Like, I don't know the character's name, just Van Winkle.
Travis Van Winkle?
Yeah, but I don't remember the character's name. Oh. Like, his character is that guy at 11. You know what I mean? Like, he's the jerk, but he's a real fucking jerk. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, just as an example, right? Like, yeah. And, and then there's odd little things with the writing, but it's, right? Sam Winchester is out there looking for his sister, but he ends up on a quiet little walk through the woods with Danielle Panabaker, and you're just like,
sometimes that's what looking for your missing sister turns into, man. I mean, this is how it goes, buddy. He's out there putting in the footwork.
I think it is. I think it's a return to, it's like you've got the first, 4 movies that have like a certain vibe and a certain, Jason is a certain thing, right? And the rest of the movies kind of deviate from that. Even though we love 6, it absolutely is a deviation from the first 4 movies. And this does take you back to that. Like, it does feel more like the first 4 movies than anything that came after the first 4 movies. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I agree with you on that, like, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. And it gives us, an answer into Jason's backstory a little bit too. It's like, no, he actually was living out in the woods and sort of surviving off the land here. And this is, he's a killing machine now. He knows how to be he even pulls the Full Metal Jacket at one point. He axes that guy and then lets him scream to try and draw people out. Yeah. But this was shot with a lot of care, I think.
Oh yeah, that's definitely something you can say about this movie. Like, the people who made this movie love Friday the 13th. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Had a good soundtrack, had a fun soundtrack.
Yeah, which is
had
nice
some
to say,
great shots.
I feel like that's the opposite of what I was saying about Freddy versus Jason, right? Like, the people who made that movie were there for the money grab. Like, they were not big fans of Jason and Freddy. Whereas, like, the Friday the 13th remake, like, yeah, maybe the studio was in it for the money, but the people who made the movie love Friday the 13th.
Well, and they kept the fans in mind without making it a fan film.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like without, there were impactful moments, like when Jason, of course, finds his hockey match. That's a huge moment. That is an iconic.
Yeah. Well, and some of the kills were actually, absolutely like throwback kills.
Yeah, they were iconic, but but they gave us enough new stuff to where it was its own film. This isn't, and not talking trash on these movies. That's a subject for another show. But Rob Zombie's Halloween, the second half is essentially a shot-for-shot remake of the original.
Yeah. Pretty close, yeah.
Halloween 2018, it is how much fan service, how many everything is an Easter egg. That movie is not its own film. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're just constantly stuck.
Yeah.
It's like they got Halloween is the bubble gum in the hair of the Halloween 2018 movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Friday the 13th is its own thing. And there's just iconic moments that's like, this is why you love this series. This is important to you. We know that. And it's important for you to know that we know that. Here's you an iconic moment when he finds the hockey mask.
Yeah. I agree.
So, yeah, I love the Friday the 13th remake. Saw it twice. Opening day.
Twice in the same day?
Twice in the same day.
Love it.
I went for the earliest showtime they had, and then was back for the latest showtime they had.
Love it. I have definitely done the same movie twice in one day, but I think it's always been at home. So I love that.
Yes.
This was my vibe. Like, that's my jam. I would do that. I would watch the same movie twice in one day. But
so that is one thing we love and dislike about every entry in the Friday the 13th franchise.
Yeah.
I feel complete on that. I think we did very well. I don't think there's anything I have left to say that wouldn't lead us into a completely different.
Oh, well, yeah, because I feel like you're such a fan of the franchise that we could do, our hour and a half or whatever on each one of the movies. So
Right.
I think that was a good sum up.
There you go. So,
A speed dating through Friday the 13th. Good job.
yeah, if I had to choose, and I know some of them I kind of wussed out and, had to pick the low-hanging fruit or ask you, but it's because I just love the franchise so much.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, I can see why some people, there's certain entries where it's like, I can see why people would be like, I hate that. That is a horrible movie. I don't find it. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I won't say you're wrong.
Yeah.
But for
Yeah.
me, I'm gonna watch it and I'm gonna enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's how I feel. It's like, I totally get why anybody would love any of these movies. I totally get why anybody would hate any of these movies.
Yeah. And I think for Vile, because I see him in here, and I think one thing we need to do in the future going forward is maybe revisit this franchise, but rank the best and worst breasts from each movie. I think
He could do it.
I could do that for you, Vile. If that's what you need, buddy, I can point you in the right direction, bro.
He'd probably just start you at the remake and not
I
worry
would.
about
There
the
you
rest.
go. That's
right?
it. These are updated. These, you know what I'm saying? This is the new school. This is when we got all them GMOs in the food that just. These are Mountain Dew boobies.
GMOs in the food and silicone in the tatas.
That's right. This is. Oh my God. F Wood is saying part 5. 5 easy for what? Oh my God. Hammerhead's going, Jason Goes to Hell, FBI chick. When you talk about silicone, that is a prime example of that. Like she doesn't even have like I want implants, but I want them like the natural kind.
Yeah.
She's in like, no.
Yeah.
Give me the ones that are so perky you can see the scars under them.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? There you go, Val.
Yikes.
There you go. I can do that for you, buddy. No problem. Briggs is throwing down his ranking. He puts part 5 in his top 3. That immediately discounts him from being a serious source of information
Untrue.
F Wood, what are you talking about? It's clearly her butt. That is a special thing about her because she has too many brains to have an ass like that, F Wood. Don't even try to go against something Sam Elliott said. Hammerhead, you're misspelling Voorhees. You're no better than Adam Marcus. Stop it. But yes, no, Deborah.
Adam Marcus.
The director of Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh.
Deborah Sue Voorhees, that she may have actually, I don't think she spelled that with a single O.
She might have.
I'd have to look that up. Deborah Voorhees. Let's see. I don't think so. I think she actually does have
The 2 O's.
She does. She does. There you go.
Oh, and now we know that she spells her first name Debi.
Yeah.
Why people got to be that way?
I don't know. That's not what's on her IMDb though.
Deborah.
There you go. There you go. Oh, and he misspelled Debbie.
Because who knew, right? I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know that either. She spells her Debbie Debi.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
No, the other one.
When you have a pet, keep it on a leash or something. Yeah. There you go. He's talking about the old man's
thing.
Her pet, his pet.
His pet. His girlfriend.
F Wood, let me ask you, who would you rather fight in that? Would you rather fight Patrick Swayze or the other bad dude who was like the henchman for that guy? Oh God, why am I shitting on his name right now? I know. Oh God, what was that motherfucker's name? Jimmy. There you go. Would you rather fight, Patrick or Jimmy, bro? Jimmy, by the way, is a real martial artist, Anna. He's in an episode of Mama's Family where he's teaching her karate and stuff, or self-defense for
we watched that. We watched that episode.
Now for a little bit of aerial work. I'll tell you what, though, that motherfucker wouldn't hold a candle against the Three Ninjas.
Nope.
I grew up watching it. I loved them sons of bitch. I'd watch them all the time.
That's so funny.
Colt,
So
Rocky,
cute.
and Tum Tum. Woo! They'd whoop some ass.
Vile says, call me crazy, but Freddy vs. Jason tops my list with the first 2 films right behind it. Right? It's all subjective.
Mm-hmm.
If you liked it. And also, Vile, how old were you when Freddy vs. Jason came out?
I think, if I recall, he's probably about 8 or 9.
No.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, Val was it,
He's just a baby. But no, don't you feel like that really affects how much you enjoyed a movie the first time you saw it, and then how much you love it still? 13.
There you go. Perfect time.
Right? Of course you love that movie.
Right?
The movies I loved at 13, I still love today.
Val came out of that movie
so
and
much.
immediately power walked to Hot Topic to try and dress up like that Power Man 5000 looking motherfucker in there, He's like...
Right? Do you think my adult self can't sit down and watch Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves and see how bad of a movie it is? I can.
That's a 10 out of 10.
It doesn't change the fact that for me, it will always be a 10 out of 10. I
That's a 10 out of 10
love
movie,
that
man.
movie.
That's a 10 out of 10, buddy.
You know what I mean? Could get it.
Yeah, Briggs, that's how it is, man. There's, oh my God, I'm trying to think of the first movies I watched. But to be fair, a lot of, I don't know. I watched some bad ones as a kid too, though, that I just can't get behind, like fucking Pinocchio's Revenge or something. My God, man. It's amazing though, too. I think there's how you said that, what was it? Maybe it was Friday 13th 7. You said that it just gives you an icky feeling or some shit the whole time.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird how there's inherent shit in you that makes, even as a kid, before you have anything established, for instance, watching Alice, Sweet Alice. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen that?
No, I've heard about it though. Yeah. Yeah.
Like what I have that on like VHS from when I was a little kid.
Yeah, and it gave you the
Gave me
ick.
an icky feeling
Even
just
as a
even
kid.
as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, cause I knew like Al Alfonso, like,
Yeah.
is he going to like,
Yeah.
you know, but
Yeah.
but yeah, man. Yeah, and I haven't watched it in a really long time either.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some movie, you know what? There's some movies that you watch as a kid and like it might be that just like you watched it as a kid and you loved it, or you watched it with a lot of movies I watched with my cousins,
Right?
or people, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're just like, man, that, you know.
Yeah, a cousin of mine and I were talking today about movies that make us think about our grandfather. You know what I mean? And it's just like,
Yeah.
well, I love those movies. I don't
Yeah.
care. I don't good, bad, who cares? Like, I love them. You know?
Yeah. I watched, you know, for instance, I watched The Entity for the first time with Briggs. And now that is a good movie in and of
is.
itself, but like I shared
It's
that, like
really
me and him.
difficult to watch, but it's good.
It was like discovering a hidden gem. I argue is like a classic with a really good friend. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, holy shit, this is even more badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Yep.
The Raven was a good childhood movie. Hammerhead, you were, damn, The Raven came out in what, like 2012? Come on, Hammerhead, that John Cusack movie?
No.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Like, I had an old dad. I've probably mentioned that before. My dad was born in 1924, so and like, so I grew up like watching a lot of his movies, and I'm talking like movies from the 30s, the 40s, the, you know, I didn't know it was weird to like all that stuff, right? Like, you don't know when you're a kid. You're just like, everybody watches these movies.
Yeah.
Meanwhile.
Yeah. I watched
You
The
know?
Raven with John Cusack in theaters, Hammerhead. I do, you know, I need to rewatch it. Don't remember a lot about it. I remember it was kind of like this fantastical telling of shit that never actually involved Edgar Allan Poe in his real life.
I like that movie.
Yeah, I need to watch it again. But yeah, I'm just not a Poe fan in general.
We did watch that a couple of years ago.
Did
The John Cusack Edgar Allan Poe movie.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, we did.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
Try The Raven with Vincent Price.
Deal.
There you go.
I'll try anything with Vincent Price.
Yeah, there you
Big
go.
fan.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, did you ever get into Edgar Allan Poe? Like try to read his poems or any of that shit? Like,
I mean, I've read some of his poems. We had to study him a little bit in school. Yeah, he was never anybody I like.
Yeah, like, why the
you've
fuck
seen,
did
like,
he
I
get-
collect poetry. I have, but he was never my jam.
yeah, I swear, like that motherfucker only got popular because of like the way he looked or
Because of gods.
presented himself. Yeah, it's like,
Well, and he's dark and depressed, and
like his shit was kind of ass. Like,
you know, I'm more of a Whitman girl myself.
oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Oh, okay. I got you, Hammer. I got you.
Oh, we're gonna have to. Yeah, we have to check that out for sure. But yeah. Just keep the like early movies I saw. Like, didn't it just affect my taste in movies? They affected like my sense of humor.
Yeah.
My dad, it was a massive Mel Brooks fan, massive.
Yeah.
So like I saw Blazing Saddles when I was little.
Oh boy.
Maybe not his best parenting choice, but
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that
hey,
is
why not?
now still the shit I think is hilarious.
There you go. There you go, man. There you go. Why not?
You know?
Why not?
Why not?
Right?
Why not?
All right, horror fam, I'm getting out of here. I gotta go get me something to eat. My throat's getting all dry. I'm gonna go get me something to eat, something to drink, and you
Nice
know,
file. Yeah.
live my best life. I'm gonna, me and Val, I'm gonna message Val personally, and we're gonna share Hot Topic memories, and
Love it.
be like, I also walked into Hot Topic at 16 Val. That's when Hot Topic was Hot Topic.
That's so funny. It's like, yeah, I don't think I was, Hot Topic wasn't a thing until I was already an adult. Not that it stopped me from going into a Hot Topic being an adult, but I'm just saying, like,
It's like, man, like all the, oh, dude, that place was stacked, and it was breeding the best culture ever. The guys go in there and get pants with chains on. The girls go in there and get like stockings with stitches up the side and shit.
yeah.
Now you're going to walk in there and find fucking ramen noodles and spiked anime hair. Like, who the fuck wears? Who buys this?
And they used to sell shoes.
Oh, I know. I have. Oh man, those demonias.
Right.
Yeah, I have some.
Dude, I had my my very favorite pair of boots I've ever owned in my life were from Hot Topic. They were epic. I wore them until they died, but
it's like back then you would walk in and you would see somebody. It looked like, fucking Trent Reznor and Chris Motionless work in here or something. Or Don Frankenstein from the Misfits or whatever works in,
Yeah.
Now it's like you go in there and it's like, well, this motherfucker applied at IHOP and Hot Topic at the same time, and Hot Topic called first.
That's right.
So, I mean, Hot Topic is not what it used to be, but man, oh man, I'm telling you now, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the shit. It was the shit. All right, horror fam, until next time, look horror.
Listen horror.
Talk horror.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody. I love you so much.
Bye.
Yes.